All right, Masal Khair, and welcome to Jusoor's 7th Annual Gala, Braving a New Reality, held virtually for the first time. My name is Ricardo Karam, and I'm so pleased to be your host for this evening. I'm joining you live from Beirut, where we are currently in lockdown, as many of you are around the globe. The crisis of COVID-19 has intensified inequalities around the world. In only a few months, we will mark the 10-year anniversary of the conflict in Syria. 5.6 million people displaced since 2011, and over 40% of...
All right, well, I'm gonna jump in here and help as the standby host. So you're gonna hear me be a little extemporaneous here, but I wanna welcome all of you to Jusoor's 7th Annual Gala. My name is Rania Succar, and I am one of the co-founders of Jusoor and will be your host for tonight's evening until Ricardo's Wi-Fi is in better shape. It is so heartwarming to see all of you on tonight's call and today's call around the world. For those of you who have been part of the Jusoor community over the last decade, you know that we tend to get together in person. We've held this gala event now for 8 years, since 2012, and we've done it in cities around the world as Jusoor's network has become more global. So we started in New York, and then we went to London, and we went to Los Angeles, and we went to Berlin and Toronto and back to London. And one of the few positive things that's come out of the pandemic is a night like tonight, where we can actually meet globally as a global community and not have to just meet locally as one group of the Jusoor community. And that's why tonight is particularly special. And it's also special because tonight we are passing an incredible milestone of impact that every person on this call has contributed to. And that's that we've touched the lives of 10,000 young people, 10,000 children and youth from Syria. And we've changed the course of their lives through the education we've gifted them. Now, I want us all to just take a few minutes to think about what that means. If each of these young people in the course of their lives, on average, touches just 10 other people, if they become doctors and they heal patients, or they become educators and they teach other people, or they become filmmakers, imagine that those 10,000 people now have had the impact, have touched 100,000 people. And that's the impact we've collectively driven as a community over time. Jusoor was founded almost a decade ago. It will be a decade next summer. And we founded the organization, all the founders are on this call today. We founded the organization because we wanted to invest in Syria's youth for a brighter tomorrow. And we wanted to ensure that every young person in Syria could realize their full potential and could grow up dreaming and with hopes. And so that work has become so much more important with every year that has passed in the conflict. And it has never been more important than this year. This is a year that Syria and Lebanon and the Arab world have been hit particularly hard. We've all experienced COVID, whatever part of the world we're living in. But after a decade of the conflict that's raged through Syria, when you see COVID and what it's done, and you compound it with the financial crisis that took place and has continued to take place in Lebanon last year, and then the devastating explosions earlier this year, it has been a particularly tough time. And so today and tonight, we have incredibly important work to do. Our work today and tonight is to continue to fuel hope of young people through tonight's event. And so we're going to work together to make that happen. We started the work last night through the West Coast Gala, and we'll continue it together, but together we have the opportunity to fuel these dreams. I want to thank many of our supporters and sponsors who are on this call. In particular, we've got two incredible sponsors joining us today, Rasif 22 and the Capital Partnership, who've done so much to support the cause. And I hope each person who's on this call, whether you've been part of the community for a decade now or are just joining the community today, feels the incredible sense of pride for what we've achieved together. Over the course of the next hour, we are going to see some of the most special content that I've seen us produce in our time as an organization. It is going to be incredibly heartwarming and touching. So I hope you're leaning into your screens and are ready to watch it. And we're going to start by talking about our scholarship program. So this is a program focused on university students. And what we do is we work on making sure that young individuals who've got talents in so many diverse fields, from artificial intelligence to film to medicine, get the scholarships that they deserve. And these are individuals who are not only exceptional in their academic fields, but are also individuals who have profound ability to change the world around them. They are individuals who are committed to giving back. And so we've funded to date as a community 700 of these young people. And they're in countries around the world. Our programs run from India to Mexico to Singapore to Europe and to the United States. And today we're about to roll a video that features the story of one of our scholars in Jordan. And I hope you all lean into this story. It is powerful. So we're going to play it and we'll come back and reflect on some of the key messages in the video.
المنطقة اللي احنا كنا عايشين فيها كان فيها قصف كثير ومستمر. هو كان فاتح محل بيع فيه خضار وسوبر ماركت يعني، فبلش القصف علينا وهو تصاب بصدره، إصابته كثير كانت بالغة. كان هو قبل بيومين بيحكي لي إنه تخيلي إنه يجي ملك الموت يسألك إنه فيما لو أنا أموت، يعني شو بتحكي له. وقتها أنا عرفت إنه ليه هو صار له تقريبا كل يوم شهر كل يوم يسألني عن الموت، وأنا إذا مت أنت كيف راح تتصرفي، كيف راح تكوني، لازم تكوني قوية، لازم تكوني قد حالك وتنتبهي على يوسف وإسلام، تخبيهم بعيونك عن كل الناس، إنه الشخص الوحيد اللي حبيته بحياتي وإنه هو خلص ما عاد موجود. فأنا خلص اتخذت القرار إنه لا، لازم أطلع الأردن، إنه هون ما فيني أكفي، ما فيني إنه أتصرف. وكان الشيء الهاجس الوحيد إلي إنه أولادي يناموا ما يسمعوا صوت قواس. الطريق اللي أنا يعني كنا ماشيين لسه 6 أيام و48 يوم على الساتر ننطر يجي دورنا مشان نفوت لهون كلاجئين. بس المرحلة خلص إنه خلصت. في ناس تحكي لي إنه أنت قوية، كيف هيك قدرتي وكذا، من باب إنه يطلع علي إنه أنت ما بتتأثري بالمصايب اللي عم تجيكي وكذا. بحكي إنه أنا أم، مو بس أم وأب بنفس الوقت. ما عندي رفاهية الانهيار أو رفاهية إنه أتكل على حدا أو إنه رفاهية إنه أنا تعبت وأقعد أبكي. لما صرت بالأردن صار شيء متاح إنه أقدم لمنح دراسية. أنا سألت إنه كم تكلفتي قدرتي أكفي بالجامعة، كانت تكلفة كثيرة عالية علي، ما مستحيل إنه فيني أشتغل وأدفع رسوم الجامعة وأعيل أولادي وكذا، مستحيل. رنت علي واحدة صاحبتي بتحكي لي ريهام في منحة اسمها جسور، شو رأيك تقدمي فيها؟ قلت لها عن جد؟ حكت لي ايه، فاتحين باب التسجيل، إذا بتحبي بودي لك الرابط. وأنا فورا عبيت الرابط. رنت علي جولي بتحكي لي أنا جولي من منحة جسور وأنت تم قبولك مبدئيا مشان تكون طالبة معنا بالمنحة. فأنا بدي أصرخ، بدي أكمل أحكي معها، بدي أعيط، كلهم هاي المشاعر كلهم مع بعض. بدرس صحافة وإعلام، وطبعا أنا كنت منقطعة عن دراستي لمدة 7 سنين، وجسور هي اللي ساعدتني مشان أرجع أكفي تعليمي. والحمد لله هاي السنة الرابعة إن شاء الله، على شهر 6 رح أتخرج. الطموح تبعي إنه بأكفي ماستر وأشتغل أكثر على المشروع تبعي الوثائقي، وأقدر إنه أوثق أكبر قدر ممكن قصص السوريين. في حديث الرسول بيحكي عيش لحياتك كأنك تعيش أبدا. هاي مفاد هاي الجملة، إنه مو المفروض إنه تيأس، ولا ما لازم حدا ييأس، ما تيأس شو ما يكون وضع تبعك، شو ما تكون الظروف اللي أنت عايش فيها. ما في إنسان ما بتمر فيه ظروف، بس لازم تتمسك بالأمل، لأنه لولا الأمل أنت ما رح تعيش.
What an amazing impact a scholarship can have. It transforms lives. Riham is one of many whose life was transformed, was altered to the better. Let us help our youth substitute the language of death by the culture of life and love. And you can make this happen. Well, I'm so sorry for the beginning. I live in Lebanon. I'm joining you from Beirut. Electricity comes and goes, so I believe you might understand what happened. Here am I again. My name is Ricardo Karam. I'm Lebanese, and I'm so happy to be among you tonight. Syria has a very special place in my heart, and whatever I can do to support or to make other people's lives change, it gives me a lot of satisfaction, happiness, and pleasure. Tonight, we gather not only to celebrate the amazing impacts of Jusoor, but to give them the fuel they need to continue their life-changing work. Today, I want to contribute to change a life like Riham. In these trying times, Jusoor's mission is all the more necessary. If you'd like to donate and stoke the organization's fire, you'll see the chat we have shared how you can donate online. For those friends in the States and Canada, please text Jusoor to the number at the bottom of the screen. Keep an eye on this little thermometer to the bottom right of the screen. It will add up your donations as they come through. And thank you so much for your generosity, which I hope will be remarkable tonight and will be big. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce the executive director of Jusoor, who joins us from Paris. She's also locked down. Here is Miss Grace Atkinson.
Thank you, Ricardo. Hello, everyone. My name's Grace Atkinson, and I'm the executive director of Jusoor. 2020 has been a difficult year for many, including some of you who have joined us on the call this evening. Thank you so much for taking the time during this difficult period. During times of crisis, we have to learn to adapt to change and be resilient. And showing immense resilience is something which Syria's children and youth have been doing for nearly a decade now. And this year, more than ever, I've been overwhelmed and inspired by the resilience of the children and youth who we serve. Our work is thanks to you, as supporters. Thank you. Here at Jusoor, we want to provide a platform, recognizing passionate people driving positive change. The Jusoor Bridges Award is given to an individual who is working to transform and build a better world around them. They're a source of inspiration and compassion, an agent of change who demonstrates the utmost courage and respect towards all humanity. We at Jusoor believe that Syrian children and youth should have access to profoundly better opportunities, and someone who has stood by this belief and by our side since our beginnings has been selected to receive this year's award. It is my honor, on behalf of the Jusoor Board of Directors and Board of Trustees, to announce that this year's Bridges Award goes to Mr. Patrick Shalhoub. Mr. Patrick Shalhoub and the Shalhoub Group have supported the Jebshanine Center in Lebanon since its opening. Our center serves out-of-school children from the surrounding camps to help them to learn to read and write so that they can enter public school. Mr. Shalhoub has proven himself to be an extraordinary patron, going above and beyond to ensure that Syria's children are not left behind. The Shalhoub Group ensures no child is cold in the winter by providing warm clothes for all 1,500 children in our refugee education program. The Shalhoub Group ensured that no child went hungry by providing hampers of food to the families of all the children from the Jebshanine Center. the Shalhoub Group employees yearly volunteer in our refugee education centres, working in the classroom during Jusoor's summer programme. Mr. Patrick Shalhoub, your contribution has been truly life-changing for Syria's next generation, and on their behalf, I thank you. I couldn't think of a more worthy recipient of this award. Thank you very much, and back over to you, Ricardo.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you so much. Let's have a look at this award, and afterwards you'll join me for a short interview with our laureate tonight. I have met him. We had a great talk. He's impactful, he's inspiring, and he's a true leader. Let's go to the award first. Patrick Shalhoub, congrats for the Bridges Award tonight. Let's build bridges, not walls. This is what Martin Luther King once said. How difficult is it today to destroy those secluding walls that keep on generating fanatism and opposing upheavals?
Ricardo, we are living in a world which is becoming increasingly challenging, difficult, full of opportunity from one side, but of different issues, tensions, inequality. And I think that we really need to make sure that we all work hard in order to try to give a better world for the future, for our children, for the community, in spite of all the challenges in which we are living and all the tension in which we have been taken. I'm an optimistic person. I try to remain as optimistic as I can, a believer that there is hope at the end of every tunnel.
Patrick, many believe that these children who are the core of our cause tonight are a lost cause. Why do you think it's important to educate those Syrian children?
I refuse this word of lost cause. There is no lost cause. There is people who could be in despair, but there is absolutely no cause which is lost if you have people who still believe in it. So going back to those children, those children have done nothing wrong. They really deserve to try to get a little bit into the best. Any children into the world deserve education, deserve to believe in his better future. Any children has to be given a certain opportunity. And it's not because some of the children are living today in refugee camps, are moving outside community and their country, they are not allowed to get education, which will give them hopefully a better prospect and better future. And I think through this education, they also try to find a kind of safe net in which they live, especially when they live outside of their community, sometimes in the refugee camps, etc. So it gives them this safe net where they could at least be able to mingle, to see some other friend, to see about the future, and hopefully it will create them a better future, a future full of possibility, of hope, of belief that something can happen to them. The worst which could happen is that they live in the despair situation and they become really dependent on AIDS or being abused, and they need to build themselves, their personality, their identity, and make sure that we can, in the future, rebuild their country if necessary, or at least build their life with better prospects. And this, it's only through education that they could access it. And this is why education is so important wherever you are, whatever you are doing. And there is no reason at all to deprive them from it. And we really need to help them to get it. I think it's more important than anything, because this is what will build them abilities and capabilities for the future.
Patrick, how does this initiative, superheaded by the Shalhoub Group, fall under your way of seeing business, seeing philanthropy and importance of giving back to community and cherishing one's roots.
Ricardo, we are a family business, and we have a family business who worked hard, and thanks God have been blessed, and today is quite successful in business. And we always believed into this notion that whenever you take something from the community, you have in a way or another to give back to this community. So we made a few choices. We said we will have few causes in which we will absolutely involve ourselves. The first is about education. The second is about our planet, our nature and the environment. And the third is for humanitarian causes, because we are in a region where humanitarian is unfortunately needed at several locations. But really our focus is education and believing into the future. For people who are at the age of schools, or for people who are at university and higher education, and to be able to do it. So when we had this Syrian crisis, or I don't know how we would call it, etc., and with a certain number of refugees, without doubt we said, how can we help and how can we contribute in order to build a better tomorrow for those people and for the community? And immediately we thought about education. And this is where, in contact with Jusoor, who have done a fantastic effort for all those refugees, all those Syrians, all around the world, in order to develop them, came with few proposals. One of them was about giving education for the younger one and building a school for the refugees and giving them access to education. So it totally falls under what we are trying to do in different phases, in different forms. It's belonging to this community which we are. And I'm sure in a way or another, I'll tell you a story. In one initiative which we had, which is in France, in fact, at the 10 years anniversary, I met a person who made her higher education, and she came to thank me for our support. She was the number 2 of the Saudi embassy in Washington, and she made all her education. How proud we could be, what sentiment you could have in yourself to say, wow, I contributed to a person in order that she can assume such a wonderful role. So this is all about how you can give back and getting satisfaction from it. And honestly, I'm blessed every time I see someone out of it. And I'm really thankful also for Jusoor for all their initiatives which are doing and making happen.
Patrick Shalhoub, thank you so much. And Mabruk once again, for the Bridges Award. And we both everything you're doing. And in regards to all the Shalhoub group and all the people who work with you under your leadership. And this is, with people like you, we cannot be but inspired, and we cannot but go onwards and give better. Thank you so much.
You're always so kind, Ricardo. Thanks to you.
Thank you.
Keep well.
Congratulations, Patrick! As Syrian citizens ourselves, and as your son and grandson, we're super thankful and super proud for all that you have done for our communities worldwide and fellow Syrian citizens, and for each and every one of us, for giving back in education, environment, and great social causes with passion and with love, and with a drive that has allowed us to push the boundaries and to push ourselves. And for that, we thank you and we congratulate you. Fais-lui un bisou.
Congratulations, Pap, on this award. We're extremely proud. We know how much this means to you. Children education, a lot of your philanthropic work has gone around helping children that hasn't have the same privileges as us, these refugees. We're extremely proud of everything you've done for them, especially in those times of needs during coronavirus. And are glad you are doing all this in behalf of all the family. Thank you, Jusoor. Thank you, Pap. Love you.
Well. I think it's getting emotional. Congratulations once again, Patrick. I believe that Michael and Kevin's messages were so warming to you, and I can see now you're following us, that there are some tears in your eyes. If you allow me, I would like to congratulate you once again with the people who are with us tonight, and I encourage all the audience to unmute their audio and to join me in applauding Patrick. So please, everybody, unmute your microphones and let's all together give a big applause to Patrick.
Bravo! Bravo!
Mabruk!
Bravo! Mabruk!
Mabruk to Patrick, and Mabruk to the sons and to all the group, and I believe to the wife of Patrick. She must be the engine behind him all the time. So greetings to you. Well, in addition to its higher education scholarship program for Syrian youth, Jusoor runs one of the most acclaimed education programs for out-of-school Syrian children globally. Through its 3 education centers in Lebanon, Jusoor brings over 1,000 refugee children back into education every single year. Yes, since June 2013, Jusoor's refugee education program has helped thousands of displaced Syrian children to continue their education outside of Syria so that they can benefit from a holistic, well-rounded primary school education and a strong psychosocial support system. Even during the COVID crisis, Jusoor is continuing to provide its education program virtually to students in Lebanon and was recognized by UNESCO as one of the most promising 2020 education tech innovations for refugee learners. Let's have a look at that thermometer. What are we seeing? Well, I believe we can do much better. Let's now learn more about this program by watching this video, and we'll be back to you.
Lebanon has passed through many crises in the past few months, starting with the financial crisis, following the COVID-19 pandemic and the blast in Lebanon. The children, despite of all of that, wanted and needed to stay in school. They asked for us to continue education no matter what.
أنا عشنا كتير شغلات بشعة، ما كان في أمل أصلاً إنه نعيش حياة جديدة ونكفي. والله بعمري فكرت وقف جلسة بقول إنه راح أعمل كل شيء لأقدر كفي، لو شو ما كانت الظروف المهم كفي.
This resilience and willingness to continue their education, to continue looking into the future is something that we're proud of. We decided to continue with our education program at Jusoor, doing the WhatsApp learning program. Join us and be part of providing a brighter future for their kids where they could continue their education and move on to a better future.
Well, amazing resilience of these children to continue their learning, and hats off to all the teachers and to all the trainers. Next up is a very interesting conversation with 2 wonderful ladies, Yusra Mardini and Olivia Munn. One is an actor, author, and activist who has graced our screens from Netflix romantic comedies to supernatural spy thriller. She's also set to lead the feature drama Aleppo. Olivia has also been a prominent advocate for change and was honored by the United Nations Girl Hero Awards for her activism. The second fled the Syrian war with her sister to find safety in Europe. Along that perilous journey, during a sea crossing, the overcrowded boat's engine she was on failed. And so Yusra, her sister, and 2 others jumped and swam for more than 3 hours in open water to prevent their dinghy and the 20 people on it from drowning. I don't know about you, but I'm very curious to talk to them. Let's go. Olivia Munn, I'm so pleased to have you with us tonight. Thank you so much. You have spent much of your career advocating for marginalized groups. Why is this so important to you? Was it always part of your personality, standing up for what's right? Or did you start doing it once you felt that you have a solid platform and that your voice is much more heard?
I am a first-generation American. My mother and her family are immigrants from Vietnam. We're Chinese, Vietnamese blood, but my mother was born and raised in Vietnam and came the day the war ended and escaped, went to the Philippines, and then made her way to Oklahoma, the whole family. And, you know, as far back as I can remember, you know, the stories have been told to all the family. And we knew the struggles that they went through to get to America, to get to America. And also understanding how difficult it was for them to come to a new country. No one spoke the language. They all really worked so hard. One of my aunts and uncles and my mother, so there was my grandmother and her 9 children. And they all came to America, and they all went off and got multiple degrees in college. And I always understood, in my family was always understood that education was so important, and speaking up for people who don't have a voice, who don't know the language, is always so important. It was something that, you know, I remember, you know, my mother getting pulled over by a police officer once, and I was about 6 years old, and her accent was difficult for the police officer to understand. And I could see him starting to get more frustrated with her and start to talk down to her. And even as a 6-year-old, I could see what was going on. I understood that he was getting frustrated with her, started to become condescending, and it made me scared and made me nervous. And I remember I peeked up from behind the back seat and started talking with the police officer myself as a 6-year-old. And then he started to calm down. And it was such a defining moment in my life, because I remembered feeling like, oh, because he can understand the things that I'm saying clearly, and because he recognizes my accent as something that is similar to his, he feels less threatened by me than he does of my mother, who is, you know, one of the nicest, sweetest people. And, you know, I remember my mother said to me, just because I speak with an accent doesn't mean I think with one. And that stuck with me so much through my whole life, realizing, you know, there are so many people just like my mother who are treated poorly, treated as if they are incapable of thinking like a very highly developed human being, just because they simply have an accent or because they look different. So my whole life, it has always been something that I have been passionate about speaking up for people who, you know, aren't always given the fair shot to speak up for themselves. Because it is, and those were tough times. Those were really scary times. There was a time, you know, around that age in my life when I just became so afraid of law enforcement, because I saw the way that police officer spoke with my mother. And I was so afraid for us to go, you know, into a car and out into the street, away from our home, because the whole world just seemed scary. Because if you take away my mother, you know, what will I have left? And so understanding that fear is really what helped me develop a deeper sense of empathy, because when you look around at the world and you understand so many other people, you know, have experienced that same fear. I think that is why I do connect with people, I think, so quickly. And I do look at the world as kind of like one big revolving door. You know, there aren't our borders, there aren't walls. You know, we go from country to country. And the thing is that we all are so different. You know, you and I are different. Yusra and I, like, you know, I haven't done anything close to what Yusra has achieved in her life. But the one thing that we all have in common is that I exist as much as you exist. We're here. We're both here for whatever reason. We all are existing right here, right now. And that to me is the thread that ties us all together. And that's what allows me to really connect with people.
And Yusra, as part of Syria's next generation of youth leaders, what hopes do you have for young Syrians like you?
Well, I really hope that, you know, they have the opportunity to have a normal life wherever they are, especially the teenagers that are still in Syria. I know that a lot of them are still suffering because of the war, because it has been going on since a really, really long time. Some people don't have or some teenagers or kids don't have access to water, electricity, obviously education as well, enough food, no health system. So I think for us, or for my generation, the most important thing is to have human rights, the most simple rights anyone can have. I do live now in Germany, and I am very lucky, you know. When I was in Syria, sometimes there wasn't any electricity for almost 16 hours. Sometimes the water will cut off for 3 days or something like this. And to be honest, it was really rough. And I lived in the war almost for 5 years, but other people lived the double. And also, let's not forget refugees all around the world, and especially Syrian refugees. They ranked, unfortunately, the highest amount of refugees ever in history. And this is really sad. And yeah, I think the most important thing for my generation is education. And before education is to get enough food, to get a warm place to sleep, and to also, you know, get their simplest rights.
And facing all those adversities and facing all those daily issues. You know, in Lebanon, I live here, and sometimes we don't have electricity for days and for nights, and we live on generators, and we go onwards. You know, our city, Beirut, has been destroyed, and still, you know, we have rebuilt our houses, our offices, and we wake up every morning and we say we're lucky because we're still alive. Instead, you know, of enjoying life and saying, thank you, life, for what you're offering me, we're thanking God because we're alive still. Well, you made it. You moved to another life. You have embraced recognition and success. And do you think that your life was a twist of fate or a stroke of luck?
Both. I mean, I have worked hard for everything I have right now, really, really hard. I've been dreaming of competing in the Olympic Games since I was 9 years old. I was watching the Olympic Games whenever it's on TV. I was training every day, except one day off. Since I was basically 4 years old, my dad did not ask me if I want to be a swimmer. He just forced me to do it. But then I realized that I really am passionate about it. So to be honest, swimming is what saved me and brought me to Germany, kind of, because on that boat, if me and my sister did not have the courage and, you know, knew that we're swimmers, we can do it, it would have been another story. But I'm thankful for everything. I think also the situation in Syria prepared me for life somehow. As you said, even if there is no war in our Middle Eastern countries, we have daily struggles, which is very sad but very accurate. Since I was young in Syria, I always had you know, to earn my place in the world and all of that. And I, as example, started working with 15 years old to support my family. So it's a tough place to live in, but I am glad that, you know, it made me as tough as I am. And but to be honest, when I arrived to Germany, I did not want anything except of having a home, except of having, you know, as I said, access to my own, you know, small bathroom, my to have access to food and to clean water and all of that. And after I got the access to that, I was like, I need to find a swimming pool. And that was 3 months after I arrived. People are like, are you crazy? I'm like, no, I came to Germany also to be a professional swimmer. Did you think about that since you were in Syria? I was like, yes. They're like, you're crazy. I was like, I know.
You have the brain, you have the determination, and you have our admiration, definitely. Olivia, what responsibility does the film industry have in bringing the public with new narratives, with new stories?
Hollywood, we are the most influential storytellers in the world. And that's a huge responsibility. And I think for far too long, Hollywood has profited off of dehumanizing marginalized groups. And there has been a reckoning over the last few years, and especially during quarantine. We've seen a lot that has happened, and there's a huge responsibility for that. Now, you know, I've thought it was interesting during quarantine where a lot of people are seeing what's going on with the Black Lives Matter movement. And, you know, I have these conversations with my friends a lot. I've known what people are seeing right now in the world. It's the fascinating thing to me is that this isn't the first time this has happened. It's just that now everyone is at home and you have nothing to do but see, watch, and listen.
Yusra, let me get back to you. You mentioned earlier that, of course, it was hard for you first to adapt to your new life in Germany. The way people used to look at you, where is Syria located? Where are you coming from? Do you resemble to us? Are we similar? Are we alike? Are we different? It's very important, but at the same time, you know, this shapes you and this helps you in becoming a better person, a more powerful person. Tell me, what are the teachings you took out of swimming and incorporated into your way of dealing with the world in order to grow more resilient and more powerful?
So being an athlete is actually really helpful for your life because you have to have such a good discipline. You have to respect others. You have to share with others. Even though swimming is not a team sport, but we train as a team. If you don't have a team to train with, it's boring, first of all. And second of all, you don't come forward. It's so hard for one swimmer to swim on its own and then on his own and then become the best swimmer in the world. So, and also you learn how to be patient. You learn how to fail and get up again and fail and get up again until you get what you want. So actually, I learned the first time from sport by leaving it. I left when I was, I think, 15 years old because I wanted to go and have my teenage life. Why am I swimming? And there was war, and I never felt like as a Syrian swimmer, I will never get anywhere. I left swimming. And the way I got back to swimming was I saw my team win a bronze medal and I started crying. And then I told my mom, I should have been there. I'm faster than her. And then after that, I went back to swimming. And after I went back to swimming, I left the country again to go to Germany. And when I came here to Germany, everyone was like, the first time I went swimming here in Germany, the coach, did you really train in Syria? I was like, yes. Why? And he was like, no, but the technique you have, it looks like you trained in America or Canada. And I was like, no, I trained in Syria. My father was my coach. He is Syrian. And this was the first thing. The second thing, they always ask me, do you have an iPhone in Syria? Did you have TV in Syria? Oh, did you have a racing suit in Syria? Oh my God, just hold it together. Don't hit anyone.
With your story being in books, with podcasts and more to come, how important does visibility play in shifting perception on what's happening in the world today?
I think my story is one of many, and my story is not the toughest story. A lot of people think so, but it's not. I know people that lost members of their families on the way getting here, and my story is just an example of telling people that I left my country because of war, not because I do not love my country. I adore my country, and other millions of refugees left their countries because they wanted another chance, of hope, of building a stable future, of being safe. So that's what my story tells. And also that if you're a refugee, that doesn't mean you cannot reach your dreams.
You know, the conflict in Syria is entering its 10th year. 10 years, tons of people killed, thousands of refugees all over the world. Families are scattered, cities are destroyed, widows all over, mothers who lost their children, and orphans spread all over. The whole nation is disintegrated. However, we need to keep the flame of hope, and we need to think that tomorrow will be a better day. How would you like to end up this chat? Olivia.
There is so much hope in the world. I mean, you hear that through Yusra's story, and you hear that through Yusra saying specifically, hers isn't the craziest story we've heard, and the fact that she's made it onto the other side and has so much confidence and resilience, and that she dreamt of making it to a swimming pool in Germany, and she did it. Those kinds of stories, those are the things that tell us that there is hope in this world. And there is not just hope, but there is resilience, and there is so much to be excited about for the future. No great change happens in the world without a lot of struggle and heartbreak. And I do feel that we are on the cusp of something really great happening in our world, truly. And I think one of the biggest things that I've learned in my life is that the biggest obstacle is not aiming high and missing, it's aiming low and hitting. Aim high, you may miss it a few times, but it's much better than aiming low and hitting and staying there. You look at Yusra, she aimed high and she hit it. And imagine if she didn't have the confidence to aim that high. Imagine if she just hit the lower targets. Where would she be? What hope would she have been able to give to the world?
Thank you so much, Olivia.
Thank
Yusra,
you.
final note.
It's kind of a tough one after everything that happened, but to be honest, I do believe that there is good in the world, and I do believe that hope is what's keeping my country and my country people going, and also the refugees all around the world and everyone around the world. I think hope is what makes us go forward. And to me, I always say I fail once, I will succeed again. And to be honest, it's tough to say anything that will motivate people who are sitting in camps or people who are still in Syria. But I want to say that one day the war will stop. I'm 100% sure, and I hope very soon. And that one day we will see Syria and any other country in conflict at peace, hopefully.
Yusra, Mardini, thank you so much. Olivia, Munn, thank you so much. It was great, having you both on this chat. It was a fireside chat, but however, for me, it was an informal one and a very spontaneous one. You know that we have all suffered, but suffering nurtures us with a lot of empathy, with a lot of compassion, and suffering makes us appreciate life more and more. I wish you all the best and to more hope. The evening is still running and the gala is still ongoing. So stay with us and we'll be back to you in a moment. Well, many of you have been generously giving over the course of the gala today, and we are so thankful of your contributions. I've just been told that we have reached the amount of, well, $84,000 only. Please dig deep and click on the donate link and make an investment in a Syrian youth's life. Give $10,000 today to become a classroom patron of Jusoor's school in Lebanon. You will give the gift of quality education to a class of 50 Syrian children in Lebanon for a year. $10,000 only. And if you give $5,000, you can become a scholar patron to help provide a life-changing scholarship to a bright Syrian scholar to study in the US and Canada. $5,000. And you can be an academic patron with a gift of $2,000 only by supporting Jusoor's talented teachers in Lebanon. And be a youth patron for $1,000 to help a Syrian youth receive support to enroll and succeed in secondary school in Lebanon. Whatever your giving ability, you can have an impact on the life of a Syrian child today. And for $50 a month, you can sponsor a Syrian child's education for 1 year. $50. Currently, this option is offered by Jusoor through online and remote learning. Click on the donation link that is on the Zoom chat and help us reach our goal of $200,000 tonight. So if we already have 84,000, we still need $116,000. And I believe that you're all generous and you're all passionate about the future of our youth. And I'm sure that we'll reach that goal and even more. I've just heard now that you have received a $15,000 gift from a patron in the US. Thank you so much for the generous gift. We are so grateful. And that brings us now to $99,000. Wow. Well, we still have some time and we still have the time to reach our goal. Not so many time. I think we still have few more minutes. I don't know about you, but I think we can do better still. And let's do this together for the future of all those children who hold in their hands the promise of a better future, if only we give them the means to succeed. So within the remaining time, we'll be spending few minutes in the lovely company of a young singer of American Jordanian descent and winner of the Arabs Got Talent 5th season. I'm talking about Emanne Beasha. Enjoy this performance. We'll meet right after for a final check of the thermometer, and I'm counting on you. $1,000 more.
When you find that once again Recall those days, look back on all those times, recall the things we'll never do. There will never be a day when I won't think of they have their seasons, so do we. But please promise me that sometimes you'll
Emanne Beasha, she's exceptional. She's so touching. And yes, indeed, in camps of refugees, there are a lot of beautiful girls who sing as beautifully as Emanne Beasha. And we need to have those girls to embrace a bright future, to be able to sing, to be able to confront life, to be able to go for a better life. And we need to touch those people. Thank you once again for your generosity, for joining us, for your passion, and for your love. Keep on believing in the youth. They are our future. We hope to meet in real life soon. Hats off to all those who make this possible every day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.